Welcome to the Meaningful Mediation Podcast, the place where leading lawyers and negotiators share their best tips and strategies for mediation and negotiation. I'm your host, Patrick Russell, a full-time Florida mediator and lawyer. My goal is to help you have an effective and meaningful mediation. Each episode will provide you with real-world strategies and tips to help you negotiate and mediate with confidence. Let's get to it. What could you give our listeners in terms of the lawyers, the mediators, and business professionals that deal with disputes, your top 3 tips for better negotiation outcomes?
Number one is managing client expectations as to what is really not possible, what's probable, right? I mean, because a lot of times they'll have unreasonable expectations going in. You know, you're never going to go to a mediation. You know, you have a claim for $500,000. The other side's not going to make a first offer of $500,000. And they probably won't make something even remotely close to it. But, you know, how many times do you see mediations where the one side makes an offer and the other side's completely insulted and wants to leave, right? Happens all the time, right? So managing expectations right there to have a fruitful mediation is, you know, what is probable? What could happen? I mean, you might not settle, but at least, you know, coming in with an open mind with all the different, you know, possibilities. It's good to brief your client ahead of time. You often will do, you do a mediation memo for the mediator. Should, talk to your client about it. Like, this is what's good in our case. This is what's bad in our case. This is how much it might cost. Let me tell you, make sure they understand how this is all going to play out if it doesn't settle. So they have a clear understanding of what may be in their best interests.
Pathway.
A pathway.
Right? A runway, where you're going.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
That kind of thing. Number 2 is knowing your audience. And what I mean by that is the other side. We talked a little bit about it already. What's their pet peeve? I mean, this guy breached your contract. Why did they breach it? Did they breach your contract because they're just incompetent? Sometimes, yes. Other times, did they have a problem with the quality of your product? So they didn't pay the bill. We were very late in delivery, and because of that, they lost a customer, right? And so knowing that, the reasons why, there's a million reasons why people don't pay their bills, that isn't always that they're just deadbeats. It's, there are other issues. And so you need to be able to, in mediation, be able to address those issues. It's a quality problem. Okay, let's talk about the quality problem. Would be able to settle this if we gave you a discount on a future shipment. Just talking creatively. Sometimes you have to be out of the box rather than, once again, just offering money, offering some other way. Can these parties continue to do business? So ultimately, people want to do business. They want to make profits. So is there some way out of this dispute that can be profitable for both sides? And so it's really knowing your audience, managing expectations. And then the number 3, we talked about this already, looking at how this is going to play out includes, when you get the trial, how are you proving your case or your defenses? You got to have that sculled out in your head, because, otherwise, even at mediation, you're not going to be really prepared to address some of the issues. The other side, tells you something, and you're going to say, well, if you know the case in and out, you're going to, well, how are you going to prove that? Are you bringing that witness up from Tierra del Fuego? Which forensic experts you going to get to prove that third-party computer system wasn't hacked, or whatever? Those kinds of things. And that sometimes can give a realization to the other side that their case is going to be much more difficult, whether they're right or not, to ultimately prevail in court. Those are my main points.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Meaningful Mediation Podcast. If you did, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Additional episodes can be found on YouTube and your favorite podcast channels. Until next time, less dispute, more resolution.